Thank you for your enthusiastic response to Restoring Health Holistically. I would just like to make clear that I am not a medical practitioner. In order to heal my own illness over the past 17 years, I've become a holistic health author, educator, and an advocate. But this does not provide the depth of knowledge that's needed to treat illnesses. I research any illness I have, and then I make an appointment with a holistically trained practitioner to discuss a treatment plan. And this is a collaboration between you and your doctor. Western medicine primarily treats symptoms with drugs forever. I prefer to seek practitioners who are trained to treat the causes of illness so that I will get well. The titles that I look for are naturopathic doctor, or ND, functional MDs, orthomolecular doctors, chiropractic neurologists, and certified energy medicine practitioners. These TV shows are intended to raise consumer awareness of holistic treatments and explain how they work so that you can make informed decisions and find a practitioner to work with and get well. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Gracelyn Guyol, and welcome to our show. I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Lois Arias, who is the Facebook manager, and after 3 years of interviewing people, holistic practitioners, and asking them questions, thanks to Lois's efforts, we are able to take your questions via Facebook and answer them on air. So tell me, Lois, what are some of the topics we're up to tonight?
We're going to talk about parasitic toxins, which came up several times in questions. We're going to discuss 3 different diets, possibly more.
Okay.
We're going to discuss medications and how they affect certain organs, and if holistic healing could, replace medications.
Okay. Well, that sounds like we've gotten a lot of really good questions.
We
and
have.
I know in making my notes for how we're going to answer some of those that these are really good questions, and I'm very appreciative of you submitting them. In fact, they're so good I had to go look up some of the details. So I'm going to consult my notes a little bit more this evening just because these questions are more technical, and they're not, I want to give you the facts. And they're not things that I talk about or write about frequently. In fact, I probably haven't written about them since my first book came out in 2006. So I had to go back to my notes. So let's get started.
Okay, the first question. What do you think of parasitic toxins, and how can we avoid them? And there's a second part. Do you recommend any type of cleanses to rid the body of these parasites?
Okay. Parasites are organisms that thrive off of another host, and toxins are generally described as chemicals, chemical toxins and things from in our environment that are toxic to the body. But the parasites in your body give off toxins as they live in your body, so that adds to your toxic load and to the damage that they can do. My first book, Healing Depression and Bipolar Disorder Without Drugs, has a whole chapter on eliminating parasite infestations, and also including Candida yeast, which is naturally found in the body, but often can become excessive and then sort of take over the body's terrain and be a real problem.
And sugar is a big issue with Candida, isn't it?
Yes, you have to, and it's very hard to get rid of it if you've got an overload. So, what I had Candida, and what I did was I tried the no sugar diet, and I tried all the things that were prescribed, and it would go down, but it would never go away, and it would come back really quickly. And so what I ended up doing is doing the best I could to keep it in check. But ultimately, when I eliminated my food allergies, and when I eliminated one of them the candida, I had a food allergy to dairy products. And when I had the practitioner turn that off, and I have a chapter on eliminating food allergies in both books, so if you want the details on that, I'm not going into it now. But when I eliminated my allergy to dairy products and vitamin D, it showed that I was not just allergic to the dairy, I was actually reacting to the calcium in the dairy. And that sort of weird allergy develops when you have leaky gut. And so when the practitioner addressed that allergy, my candida spontaneously disappeared in 3 weeks. I did nothing different. And it hasn't come back. So some of this is really, that's why holistic is so great, is that when you're in the process of dealing with something over here, sometimes something over here gets solved that you might never have connected the two logically or intellectually or intuitively. So we'll go back to talking about parasites now, but I just wanted to say that candida is sort of rampant and difficult. But the diet isn't always the answer. Sometimes it's getting your allergies turned off if you have had leaky gut. So there are 3 categories of parasites. There are protozoa, which are single-cell organisms, and that includes insects and worms that feed off the host. There are insect parasites. These would include lice, mites, fleas, and ticks. These cause infections, including Lyme disease and bubonic plague. There are worm type of parasites, pinworms, roundworms, tapeworms. These tapeworms are known to contribute to depression, and hookworm and filaria, which are thread-like worms in the blood and tissue. There's a Toxoplasma gondii that humans pick up from handling cat litter, and it's known to alter behavior and neurotransmitter function. In 18 of 19 studies since 1953 showed a higher percentage of Toxoplasma gondii antibodies in persons with schizophrenia and other severe psychiatric disorders. So these infestations are not to be taken lightly. They do impact the brain and mental health as well as physical health. I would suggest that you be very careful and avoid feces contaminated water. Wash your hands with soap after handling an animal or their litter, cleaning out the kitty box. Don't let animals sleep with you, and don't let them lick you in the face. Do not drink from streams or rivers, even if they look clean. You don't know where that stream originated, and it might be going through a farmyard on its way to where you're drinking from it. No walking barefooted in barnyard or rain puddles in third world countries. They're often contaminated because animals run wild there, and there would be feces underneath the water. And when you're in third world countries on, holidays or on a field trip with a school or whatever, do not eat raw foods and vegetables or uncooked dairy. You want things to be heated to kill these parasites. In terms of treatment, it's really hard to get rid of some of these, but the doctors that have more experience doing this and are trained to do this include naturopathic doctors, Chinese, and Ayurvedic doctors, which are doctors trained in the Indian healing practice. And they're pretty experienced in eliminating parasites because of the countries where these types of healing originated. So in my first book, I outline an herbal protocol in the Appendix B of Healing Depression and Bipolar Disorder. I was told in January that I had a parasite on a scan that I had done at Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida. And so I bought their Paragon herbal dietary supplement from Life Give, and it's all herbal, but I haven't had a chance to try it yet. And I suggest that you, if at all possible, don't try to get rid of these yourself. Get some direction from a physician who's been trained to do this. It'll be a lot faster and a lot easier and probably more successful.
And more comfortable.
And more comfortable, right.
How do you feel about certain diets, like the Mediterranean, the vegan, the paleo?
I think all three of those diets can be very, very effective and helpful if a lot of things, say the vegan diet, if you have learned how to do a vegan diet and make sure that you're getting adequate proteins from that diet, because there's no meat included of any kind, so there's no animal protein included, and there's not a lot of fat included. And the body needs a certain amount of fat, and your primary source of vitamin B12, which is so crucial to brain function, comes from animal protein. So if you're not eating any of that, you need to take, and you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you really need to take vitamin B12 in a form that you put under your tongue and let it dissolve and get into your system through your mucous membranes. Older patients, some people who are sick, and older patients especially, may not make intrinsic factor in the gut, which is necessary for B12 to be utilized if it goes through the digestive system. So that's why I just tell everybody, get the form if you're low in B12 or do not have a good animal protein source of B12 in your diet, then I would suggest that you take the sublingual under the tongue form of B12 daily.
Could you explain the difference between being vegan and being a vegetarian?
Yeah, vegetarians eat, there are different kinds of vegetarians, so it depends on what kind of a vegetarian you are. But for the most part, they eat cheese and they eat dairy products, eggs, milk, cream, things like that. Vegans don't eat any of those things. They eat no animal products, including eggs or milk, and they also do not eat fats, much fat at all. And that is one of the things that I am concerned about vegan diets, because the body needs a certain amount of fat to, when you're sick or you're injured, the fat that you take in daily is what's used to replace the membranes of all your cells in the whole body. And I know that because of the brain cell needs healthy fats to make sure that those cellular membranes are soft and supple and can communicate quickly with each other. People who eat trans fats, those membranes made from fat, are stiffer, and they contribute to depression, actually, if the trans fats do. So anyways, that's a short answer to that question, because I want to go back to
the other diets.
The other diets. Paleo, a lot of people lived pretty good using paleo diets, and there's a resurgence back to that because you're cooking foods, particularly meats and things with bones in them, and stewing that, and a lot of the minerals and benefits that are stored in the bones come into fluid and they replenish a system. So a lot of people feel better when they eat stews and things that have been cooked for a long time, because it gives them those nutrients in a liquid form that the body can use more readily. So all of those diets, I think, are good diets. They're certainly better than the standard American diet, which is, the acronym is SAD, S-A-D, because it's so nutrient deficient. And these have balance of nutrients, of carbs, of vitamins and minerals, and protein. There's a unique book I wanted to suggest to all of you, because the diet that's perfect for you may not be perfect for me or for you. So there is a book out that I discovered 15 years ago, and I keep it in my library and I refer to it frequently to remind myself of what is compatible and perfect for me. And it's called Eat Right for Your Type, and it's by Peter J. D'Adamo, who is a naturopathic doctor in Connecticut, and he's referring to eat right for your blood type, because the different blood types that we all have means that different things are compatible with our blood type. And I'm going to try to explain that in brief, and I'm going to consult my notes because otherwise this will take up the whole show. So he used a blood type to identify different dietary needs, and his father, James D'Adamo, was a naturopath in 1957. And he observed in his patients that not all people thrived on a vegetarian diet. Some of them really were not well, and when they went back to eating more protein with an animal-based protein, they started to look and feel a lot healthier. So they found ways to scientifically test food compatibility with each blood type using chemical markers, and these are called antigens, that are found on the cells of our body. And antigens are different for each blood type, and they are what tell the immune system if a substance is compatible with our blood type or if it's harmful, which the immune system is telling, is this substance self or is it alien? And so that's what these antigens allow the immune system to do. Blood type O is the oldest, and these are the meat eaters, the hunter-gatherers who thrive and need a high-protein diet. They have a hearty digestive tract, which means that they easily break down the fibers in animal protein and digest it much better, whereas people like me, that I'm going to talk about in a minute, don't have a strong digestive acid stomach. So they have an overactive immune system, and so type O's tend to thrive on meat, a meat-based diet. Not just meat, but a lot of meat, more than what the rest of us would do well eating. Type A's evolved with a domesticated farming society, and that's me, and we do poorly on high protein, but we thrive on a vegetarian diet. Except that I noticed when I was raised a vegetarian that I felt and thought my brain worked a lot better when I had some animal protein in my diet. And I didn't know anything about this blood typing then. I just observed that I felt better and looked better when I had a little bit of animal protein. And I think it was probably because I wasn't getting enough B12 from other sources that was impacting my brain. So type A's have a sensitive digestive tract, and we are lower in stomach acid, so we can't digest meats as well or as completely. And we respond to stress best with calming physical activity, and we need a vegetable diet to stay lean and productive. If we have too much animal protein, we can put on weight, and the wrong kinds of animal protein. This type has a negative reaction, type A, to vegetables in the nightshade family, which are tomatoes, eggplant, peppers of all kinds, and potatoes. Did I say that?
No, you haven't mentioned potatoes.
Okay, so those are the four in the nightshade plant family, and we do not react well to those. They're not compatible with our blood type. And when you eat too much of them, and when you eat them at all, for some people, they can cause inflammation and arthritis. So they've observed in the past, other practitioners have observed that eating nightshade plants, often when people cut them out, their arthritis goes away. So those probably were type A's, where it wasn't appropriate for their blood type. Blood type B emerged as humans migrated north into colder, harsh territories and intermingled with other populations. And so this developed, this was the development of type B in the Americas. These nomads are balanced with a strong immune system and a very tolerant digestive system. They have the most flexible dietary choices, which include dairy, because as nomads they would have been drinking the milk from the animals, that herds that they would move from place to place. Type B needs a balance of physical and mental activity to stay lean. And then type AB was a modern adaptation that came from further intermingling of people from Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas. So Dr. D'Adamo's book is Eat Right for Your Type, and it will help you understand what types of food are beneficial, highly beneficial, or neutral, or to be avoided. And he has different food categories. Say he has nuts and grains, he has fruits by a category, he has vegetables by category, he has meats and protein, animal protein by category, and seafood by category. So it's a wealth of information, and I really suggest that people buy the book so that you always have it to keep referring to. And some of my friends who said that they started following this, one woman lost 20 pounds without counting calories, and she took 2 inches off of her waist in just a few months following this diet, because she was eating the foods that her body could assimilate and digest and that would feed her system rather than causing the immune system to react and cause inflammation.
Can yoga or meditation help a person with depression, and can it help with back pain?
Okay, I'm going to talk about depression first. Yoga and meditation is wonderful for depression, and throughout today's show I'm going to give you names of books, because what I have time to tell you about each subject is very brief and limited. So if you haven't got a pencil and paper, get one right now, because I'm going to keep giving you more books as we go through. Yoga for Depression was one of the first books that I discovered, and I had done yoga off and on mostly as an exercise. I never really expected it to end my bipolar illness, and it didn't, but it did help me feel better temporarily. And yoga and going for a walk every day were the most effective short antidepressants that would last for like a whole day. But they weren't, people who are severely depressed or suicidal depression are so unable to function that they can't motivate themselves to do this. So that's a different category. But when you have mild depression or depression in response to certain triggers, I would certainly say do take up yoga. It will clear your head. It will have many health benefits, tones the muscles and keeps you fit, gets you into deep breathing, which is really important because the breath that you take in oxygenates your whole body, and so that's really important. So Yoga for Depression is by Amy Weintraub, and it's a comprehensive guide to the art and the science with practical tools based on her own experience. Meditation can reduce desperation. Medication can reduce desperation and suicidality, but it doesn't bring feelings of joy, love, and gratitude. And so meditation is a way of tapping into a thought process and a breathing process that will make you feel really good, but also begin to make you aware of how much you have to be grateful for, and that these acknowledging these feelings of gratitude and happiness is really important to your health, and will also help you drop the depressive habit of only looking on the negative and to consciously focus on the positive in your life and be grateful for it. So that's that. Human suffering is really universal, And grief and severe emotional pain is stored in your tissues. And so yoga and meditation can help release that grief from old grief from your tissues and make you feel and become a lot healthier, both physically and mentally. Now about back pain and yoga. You need to really be careful about what's causing your back pain and whether yoga will be the solution or not. And so yoga can sometimes make certain back conditions and pain worse. So I would say you need to get opinions from a doctor or a surgeon or a physical therapist. Talk to a yoga instructor about what kind of back pain you're experiencing, and they may have had experience with it and be able to tell you certain poses that you should not do and that the others would be fine for you. I think that yoga, I like yoga because it also helps my focus so much, and it improves my tennis game because I can keep my eye on the ball for more than 2 seconds at a time. So I would say yoga and meditation are easier to do together. You'll learn how to do both at the same time, and they will have amazing benefits. And I intend to do both until I drop, because they also contribute to your health and longevity.
You will be buried in your yoga mat.
I never thought of that, but maybe I'll request it.
How does meditation work, and what does it do to the body?
Okay, I'm going to consult my notes on this because I
You're
know
allowed.
that it works and I know how it feels, but all these details I couldn't pull out of the top of my head. There's a new neuroscience tells us that meditation alters brain waves, and there are 5 different major categories of brain waves, and each one corresponds to a different activity that we undertake. So meditation lets you move from higher frequency brain waves to lower frequency brain waves, calming you, slowing you down, and also at the same time activating different centers in the body. So we're going to start with the highest frequencies, and it's a gamma state, and it's from 30 to 100 hertz, which is the frequency, and it's a state of hyperactivity and active learning, which I thought that was kind of interesting, that hyperactivity and active learning are connected. It's best for retaining information. And this is why some educators have audiences jumping or dancing to increase their retention of the audience, to increase their retention of the information that's about to be given to them. However, overstimulation, and it's probably depends on what the cause of hyperactivity is, if it's a chemical cause or if it's a natural activity from being physically active in a joyful way. But overstimulation can lead to anxiety. So this is the gamma state, and that's the highest, fastest brain waves. The beta state has 13 to 30 hertz, and this is where we all are during our daily functioning. This is the alert mind in the prefrontal cortex, where you have your executive functioning all up here. This is the working or the thinking mind. It's analytical, planning, assessing, and categorizing. So this is what we call our executive functions, but it is the brain that we're using most of the time during the day. Alpha state is the next one, and that has 9 to 13 hertz. And you start to slow down the thinking mind, and you feel more calm, you feel peaceful, you feel grounded, aware, and reflective. It's how you feel after a yoga class, a walk in the woods, pleasurable sex, or other relaxing activities. And it's when the right and the left hemispheres of the brain are more balanced. So you're in a balanced, calm state of reflection. The theta state is 4 to 8 hertz, and you see we're really slowing down here. And this is when you're able to begin meditating. It's where the thinking mind transitions to the meditative visual mind. And that's why longtime meditators often have something that, like a lotus flower or a lighted candle or something that they visualize in their mind as they're meditating to help keep their mind focused on one thing and calm and slowing down. You may feel drowsy. You may have stronger intuition. Lots of times intuition comes just as you're emerging from sleep, and that's where this state is. You may have better problem solving, and it's so the visualization helps if you're trying to reach this slower state, because it keeps you focused on something calm and peaceful and slows down the mind. And the delta state is 1 to 3 hertz, and I mean this is really slow. And Tibetan monks who have meditated for decades can reach this. It's an alert, wakened phase, but most of us only reach it during sleep, in a dreamless sleep. So I consider meditation a way to calm what I call monkey brain. In my bipolar days, my brain was even more monkey-like, and it was like, monkeys swing from branch to branch in the treetops of the of the Amazon, and you see them swooping down and then going up and going here and going there. Well, that's the bipolar mind. And so this can help you slow down that process and be more in control of where your mind is. You need to choose a quiet area to minimize distractions. Sit comfortably in a chair with your spine straight. And this is important. You want your spine straight, your body relaxed, your hands in your lap, because you want to close your eyes and breathe in. And the spine straight helps make sure that your breath is not closed off by slumping or something like that you're getting full breath up, and you watch your breath and you breathe in and then out through the nose both times. But in yoga they teach you to breathe in and then breathe out in a ujjayi breath, which is like the sound of and then as you learn that breath, then you do it with a closed mouth. So it's it's an audible breath in that you can hear. And having that keeps you aware of your breathing process so that you stay focused on the breath, and that also helps to keep your mind focused on one object, not being off in 40 different directions. And Deepak Chopra has a mantra that he suggests in his book that I like a lot. Some people, they use a mantra in their head, breathe in, breathe out. He uses the mantra so and hum. So when you breathe in, you would think so, and when you breathe out, you go hmm. So I liked that because it seemed so natural. So that's one that I use. If your mind wanders, draw it back to your breath. As the breath lengthens and fills your body, your mind will become calmer. It's getting more oxygen, and the breathing and the slow rhythm is helping to slow your mind. It's hard to meditate, especially if you're bipolar or if you're hyperactive. So start with 5 minutes. Otherwise, you'll get so frustrated. And do 5 minutes the first day and the second day, or 5 minutes daily for a week, whatever you think you can do. And then add 5 minutes a day. And I try to meditate 20 minutes a day in the morning for me, because that sort of makes me calm and focused in my tennis game and in my work as well. So,
are you a member of any organizations?
I am, but I'm not terribly active in a lot of them, and let me explain why. I was a member of Stonington Garden Club because I was an avid gardener for a decade, and I really enjoyed that. And that was right after I had retired. We lived on a big property, and I was gardening all day, many days of the week. I just really enjoyed it. As I started working to end my bipolar illness, I became aware of how environmental toxins contribute to mental illness and to all major illnesses, can be driven and highly caused by chemicals load of your body. So in that learning curve, I became very aware and began to talk and speak about environmental toxins being really important to health. And so I was asked to be the environmental chair for the garden club. And I served in that capacity for 6 years and was teaching the members of the club what I knew about safe gardening. And under my direction, the members of the club all helped to create a booklet called Earth-Friendly Alternatives to Herbicides, Pesticides, and Household Chemicals. And it's still available through the Stonington Garden Club. So you can contact a member and buy them. They're inexpensive. And the success of that club, we sold over 5,000 copies through garden clubs across the country. And there is a Garden Club of America, which has programs in each state that are very effective for environment as well. And they asked me to be the conservation leader for 21 garden clubs in Connecticut and Rhode Island. And I did that for 2 years and was teaching other clubs besides our own about environment and why it was important. So then recently, and then I founded CUSH, Cleanup, Sound, and Harbors, which is a nonprofit that originated as Cleanup Stonington Harbors, and then we expanded it when we realized that there was a need to look at the whole Fisher's Island Sound. And then, so I founded CUSH, I ran that for 6 years, and then built that up and handed it off because I'm embarking on another nonprofit that I'll talk about in a minute. But I'm basically an entrepreneur, and so the things that I founded take a lot of nurturing, and so I no longer have time to be involved in many other organizations because of the organizations that I start and need to nurture. Recently, as a result of what I did for CUSH, that environmental nonprofit, the National Association of Professional Women approached me, and this is 700,000 women across the United States, and they asked me to join their VIP Woman of the Year circle. And so I have done that, but I have not yet had time to attend a meeting. But I would like to very much, and I'd like to maybe speak, give inspirational talks or talks on the environment to the chapters who would be interested. But what's keeping me involved right now, as you know, Lois, is I'm in the process of founding a holistic mental health institute and clinic. And we're a couple of years away from that being a reality, I think. It could happen sooner, but it's a big project, and so it'll take a lot of planning and a lot of funding before we can get started. But that's where I'm headed, and I believe in organizations, but I tend to start them. And then I have to keep them going. So, okay.
And then you find the right person to hand them over to.
And I have a husband, and I have a child, and I have grandchildren, and a lot of other things that are important at this stage in my life. So I'm trying to not get overloaded.
And hopefully I can help you not get overloaded.
Yes, you've helped a lot. I am so grateful for you taking on Facebook.
May I just say that you have made me healthier, because I had been very sick, and this has brought me a new life. Is that okay to
That's fine. I'm thrilled when people come up to me and say, and I have this occur fairly often at least in Connecticut area, is because I've been working on holistic healing in myself for 17 years, and I've been talking about it for at least that long. When people come up to me and say, thank you so much for your book, it has changed my life, or thank you so much for your shows, I really enjoy them, I'm learning a lot. So I'm glad to know that what I'm doing is making a difference. I don't need the details, but You know, I am grateful for what you're doing because you're saving me time and helping me, enable me consciously. You made this choice to enable me to spend more of my time trying to found this Holistic Mental Health Institute. So thank you.
And you've enabled me to have a purpose.
Great. And to get back into the television world, which you were in before.
Yes,
so.
I've decided I like interviewing.
Good.
I was terrified when you asked me that first day.
Well, let's keep going then. We'll give you more experience.
Okay, this is the one I'm really interested in. Does the mind control the body or the other way around?
Well, I'm going to give you a long answer to that because this is mind research is the frontier of medicine today. And so change seems like it's coming so rapidly, and it's really exciting. So there is a researcher who has done 40 years of research on brain plasticity. And what this means is it means the ability of the brain to regenerate and heal if it's given the right nutrients and the right stimulation. And this research has revealed that there is a constant interactive exchange between the brain and the body. So they're not separate, they're interactive, and it's happening rapidly every minute that we're alive. So I will outline the basics of this, but for those who want more information after I give you the basics, I suggest this book, The Brain That Changes Itself, by Dr. Norman Doidge, D-O-I-D-G-E. He's an MD, and this book, The Brain That Changes Itself, has been out probably 4 years. So it should be available in your library if you can't afford it, or if you don't want to keep it, you're just interested. And this describes the healing process, and it gives amazing case histories and data from the frontiers of brain plasticity science. And this one I read right before my 2010 book came out, and it was really exciting to understand what brain plasticity and that research has shown, and that's where the whole science of neurology and the brain is gone en masse in that direction. I'm reading his new book, which just came out this year, The Brain's Way of Healing. And in this one, he introduces people who had learning disorders or diseases that are once thought incurable, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, cerebral palsy, or dementia, that were dramatically reduced using breakthrough knowledge that he explains in the book. And his first book, the one thing that I remember from it was so impressive, is that each chapter was a person's case history and then explaining the science of that. And in one of the cases, a woman had been born with only half a brain. And yet through the right mental challenges and stimulation and nourishment, that brain formed new neurons that took over a lot of the functioning that the brain half that was missing would have done. So she was able to reach a state of functioning that no one ever believed she possibly could, right, with a half a brain. So these books, if you're interested in how the brain functions or any interest in disorders that are considered incurable, traumatic brain injury was also covered in that book. So this is really new stuff that you're probably not going to hear about in depth anywhere on TV because it's too complicated. But you can get books or ebooks, and it's fascinating reading. To me, it's as exciting as a whodunit novel because it's all so new and amazing. In short, the brain responds to stimulation throughout the body, causing new neuron growth to enable the processing of the information. When no stimulation is given, neurons for a particular function that's not stimulated or used are pruned to make space for new activities that we're doing. So that's why information that you don't use, or skills that you don't use anymore, the brain only has a certain amount of space. So the neurons that are not used get pruned, and then what you are doing causes new neuron growth that takes up that space. And he gave an example. He said when a limb or a finger is cut off, neurons in the brain that control their function disappear over time, and the space is taken over by other functions.
That's
so it literally is use it or lose it, because if you don't use that brain power for that particular function, you're going to lose it. If you don't walk, your muscles will atrophy. And if you don't use your brain, it will slow and become less agile. So you want to do things that challenge your brain. Play games that are mentally challenging.
Like luminosity?
Well, yes, some of those do help. And there's also, people do crossword puzzles because it stimulates the brain, and people play bridge because you need to remember the cards that have been played. So there's all different ways of stimulating your brain. But basically, don't take the easy way. Keep it challenged, because that will keep it sharp.
Do you think that there are hidden effects in chemicals in our beauty products? And I'm sure the answer is yes.
Yes, shampoo, makeup, hair care products. One of the first things that I did when I was fighting breast cysts and tumor growth and trying to figure out what chemicals might be causing that sudden growth was I eliminated all chemicals from my life. And that included all skin and hair care products, all my cosmetics, everything that goes on my skin or in my body is plant-based. And I do the same for my cat. So, except for the food.
But I'm not allergic at your house either. I wonder if that's some of it.
Well, in terms of treating him for fleas and ticks, is I got a spray that was, it had lemongrass, it had rosemary oil, it had, I think, a cedar oil, and it had, no, it wasn't cedar because it had to be something he could ingest. But it had herbs that you could spray on the fur that would inhibit the residency of ticks and fleas, or their desire to come there. And so that, I believe in that, and I believe in it especially for children, small animals, and for anyone who's sick. You need to really be careful. I did change to plant-based cosmetics 15 years ago. It was really hard to find them then. I had to buy almost everything online, but now I'm going to give you some local tips. In this part of Connecticut, there is a place in Mystic on the Gold Star Highway that's called Essential Skincare at Mystic Wellness Center. It's 2440 Gold Star Highway, and it's easy to remember the owner's name. Her name is Elizabeth Taylor. She goes by Beth, but when I can't remember her name, I just come back to, Elizabeth Taylor, right, okay. Beth carries very clean, at Zen products, ATZEN, and I use her skincare line, and I use an eyeliner, and I've asked her to find me an eyebrow pencil. I'm using one, but I have to drive an hour to get it. So that's really good. And you can also order Bare Essentials for face and color products on Bare. I have Essentials here. I think it's Essentials.
I think it's Essentials too.
Well, that's a typo.
You're allowed.
BareEssentials.com for face and color products. I like their products and I've used them. And there's also, some of them are now available in the Waterford hair salon called Bijou Salon. They carry Bare Minerals products there. And so I like, they are focused on, they have many chemical products, so you have to ask for the plant-based, but they do carry a good line that I like.
Is it safe to swim in chlorinated pools, especially if you're a child? Also untreated water systems like ponds, lakes, bays.
Okay. There are dangerous products in chlorine. It's a chlorine byproduct that's the dangerous. It's a haloacetic acids, and they are linked to birth defects and cancer. Studies found them in the urine of swimmers 20 to 30 minutes after their swim. So whatever your body, all the water that gets onto your body, is absorbed into your system. So it's important in your home, and it's also, this is why you want to have a water filter on your home water tap if you have city water, because most town waters and city waters are chlorinated. So you don't want to be drinking that either. Some studies show chlorine gas contributes to asthma or allergies, the chlorine byproduct. The Center for Disease Control says 16% of chlorinated water cases involve neurological nervous system dysfunction. The skin absorbs chlorine, so cardiovascular dysfunction can occur. Also, skin and eye infections occur with gastrointestinal, kidney, and liver problems arise from swallowing chlorinated pool water. So there are better ways, there are many other ways now to keep the water in a pool clear. I can't tell you those right now, but you can, if you ask for it, you can get them. Excessive exposure can result in colorectal cancer. Untreated ponds, lakes, and bays. It depends on their source. And if they're spring-fed, then they may be safer than if they're runoff. Like it's the spring-fed lake that's not coming through somebody else's property. Streams, you need to really be careful of because you don't know what's upstream. And so you don't know the land that surrounds the stream or the pond unless you know that it's been owned by somebody who's not farmed it for years and it's been pretty organically clean and protected over time. When I was planning to grow organic herbs for sale, because I had an herbal tea business at that time, the land, I'm trying to remember, I think in order to get the land certified as organic, 5 minutes, it had to not have been farmed for something like 5 to 8 years. Mm-hmm. So it's very stringent. So do be careful of the sources of the water that you're swimming in. Let's go on.
Okay, there are so many different kinds of holistic medicine. How do I know that I'm choosing the right one?
Well, the good news is there's more than one right kind. There's different kinds that are quite holistic because they evolved in cultures that didn't have or use chemicals. They used herbs from the beginning. So the well-known one that I use is naturopathic doctor. Naturopathic medicine is based on only chemical-free natural products. So whatever my naturopathic doctor prescribes for me, I'm willing to take. I do have an MD because there are times when I occasionally need an antibiotic as a prescription. And when I take an antibiotic, I also always take it with it and following the doses a probiotic to restore the good bacteria in the gut that gets killed off along with the bad bacteria when you're taking antibiotics. Other alternative practitioners that are very well known is acupuncture, and that uses the meridians of the body and clears the energy and enables healing through that energy system. Chinese medicine, which uses herbs and different parts of the plant, the roots, the flowers, the stems, the leaves, for medicinal purposes and has for probably thousands of years. And Ayurvedic medicine is the medicine that evolved in India, and it also is a holistic. And then there is hands-on healing, which is energy medicine, which I also have used and believe and found it to be effective for certain things. I was very careful to choose a hands-on healer who had been Barbara Brennan trained, Barbara Brennan has a really great educational healing center that certifies hands-on healers, and it's a 3-year program, so it's very intense and thorough, and they have to do their own healing of sorts before they are able to graduate. So I recommend that if you're looking for a hands-on healer, then at least you know how they've been trained. It doesn't mean others are not good, I'm just saying. And there's homeopathy and flower essences, remedies. There's sound and vibration treatments, and there's crystal therapy. The Harvard doctor who founded its mind-body medical department said that he believed that the placebo effect, which is how much you believe something is working, represented as much as 70% of the healing effect. So when I'm advising people, I always say, choose something that you understand enough that you really believe in and that you will do wholeheartedly. Don't do something. I didn't disbelieve, I suspended my disbeliefs to enable me to be objective about what was going on. So your choice depends on what medical problem you have and what you believe will work for that problem. So do some research. Doing things online is so easy these days. Put in the name of your illness, put in the name of holistic medicine or holistic treatments, and up will come people that know about that. We are out of time.
Yes, we are.
And this has been great fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
And thank you all for joining us. I hope you'll return next week at the same time, Wednesdays at 7, and ask Gracelyn.